Hello, my beautiful rebels, questioners of authority. This is the weekly energy update for the last full week of August, pretty much the last part of the month of August. So, starting August 23rd, though realistically, anytime. The theme for this week is accountability. So, if you remember, our overarching theme for this month is facing your fears. It's been a month full of facing my fears and my power and the patterns that keep coming up. This last week was, what are you still clinging to in the past? And oof, I had some really deep patterns show up and activate for me for this last week that I've really had to face and process and take accountability for. So I've said it before in these videos. I said it back in, I think, June when we had just a week that was essentially foreshadowing this entire month, though I didn't know it at the time, where we faced our fears. And the fear was the ultimate fear that we have is our power. And we are accountable for our power, whether we're using it or someone else or something else is using it. We are ultimately accountable for every bit of power that we have, that we are. And it's so important to recognize that. It's when you first start, I think, dealing with this concept of accountability and power, it often feels like blame. Like we're putting blame or the weight of the entire freaking world on your shoulders. And that is not actually the case. But I do want to acknowledge that it might feel like that. And if it feels like that, that's okay. Just know that the more you sit with it, the more you work with it, the more you let your soul kind of explain it to you inside your body, the more it will shift and become true accountability and you'll understand it better. So just know it might be a process here. So this video might be your very first introduction, or maybe it's a reminder for you that, oh yeah, okay, I'm accountable for my power, for myself. But here's the thing is you aren't accountable to anyone except yourself and God. And that's it. You're not accountable to your partner for the use of your power. You're not accountable to your kids. You're not accountable to your coworkers, your friends, or anyone else in the rest of the world. You don't answer to them for your power and how you use it. That's not what this accountability is about. This is about internal accountability. Really getting to know your power so you know when it's leaking out, when it's fragmented and you've let other people or things or places take your power, use your power. And then also that you can call it power or energy hygiene, bringing it back home, calling it back to you and releasing anyone else's power that you accidentally picked up during your day or your lifetime that you haven't given back. This accountability once you really start to understand it, like deep in your bones understand it, you recognize that this accountability brings this deep level of freedom. There is freedom and power in accountability. I want to see if I can find the right words to really describe what this is. Hmm. So, one of the things that I've been dealing with for quite a while, but this past week has really uh, highlighted the frustration that I've been feeling um, with my body. Because I have long COVID. In case you haven't heard that story before, I got COVID-19 back in January of 2022, and in May of that year, I finally got diagnosed with long COVID because I was not better. The initial viral infection had been gone for a long time, and I still felt horrible, and I had to completely resign from my leadership position and from nursing itself, which led me here. But that what I've been learning as I continue going through my life journey with long COVID is that long COVID can be relapsing and remitting, meaning that I can have periods of days, weeks, months, years where I have little to no symptoms, and then I can relapse and have a lot of symptoms. And there's no way, at least right now, that's known to predict these relapses or remissions, or necessarily even how to predict once you have a relapse, how long that relapse will last. And I have been struggling this summer with a lot of my long COVID symptoms, and it's been deeply frustrating. And I kind of threw myself a pity party this morning, and I had to take accountability for that, for myself. I had to really take some time to talk with my soul and my body, because I'm accountable for how I treat my body, how I feel about my body, how I perceive it. I'm accountable for all of that. I'm accountable for how I treat it, how I talk to it and about it, how I choose to move it through this world. That is all something I am accountable for. I have that power. I am the one who is living inside this vessel, my body, but I am the one controlling my body. I am the one in charge. I am the one accountable for what's going on inside my body. And a lot of times, again, that initial thought will pop into my head. Yeah, you're to blame for your long COVID relapses. That blame game, right? That we often think about when we think about accountability, because accountability in this world has honestly been so twisted and distorted at it sounds so harsh and so not fun, so much like a burden when we talk about accountability. But when I really sat with that feeling of blame and then shame, that judgment on myself and my body for having this relapse, having these symptoms, having to say no to so many things and people that I wanted to say yes to, but couldn't because my soul has called me to different things and I only have so much energy to be able to give physically while I'm in this relapse. And so sitting with that, letting myself feel and process the emotions that came up with it, and I'm sure will continue to come up because I'm sure there's more for me to process and take accountability for here, right? Um, but as I did that, I felt a little shift, a little light at the end of the tunnel, a little bit of that lightness, that freedom that I mentioned that comes from taking accountability. Because what I kind of realized as I sat up tall and took accountability for how my body's been feeling and for me having to say no when I really wanted to say yes. And all of this was another place that I had actually not been taking great accountability for, and that was actually in my business here. I've been putting out these videos and showing up online, but I haven't been dedicating enough time behind the scenes when I'm not in front of the camera or in live calls or teaching classes to really work on the things that my soul has called me to, because I was saying yes to all of the other things. And so now I'm coming to the point where my soul's like, no, it's time to take accountability for all of those things that you need to bring into this world, that you've been delaying and putting off and letting go and letting languish off to the side. It's time to take accountability for it. And so what that has done for me, that conversation that I had this morning with my soul, has really shifted my perspective on what my body is going through right now, shifted my perspective on my body's capacity and capabilities and the season that I'm in and what I'm being called to do, and is allowing me to really show up more powerfully in that behind the scenes area, more powerfully in my own life. Because when I take accountability, when I say, yep, that's mine, I take my power back. That simple act of sitting with it, recognizing where I'm wallowing in self-pity, saying, yep, that's mine, picking it up, holding it, caring for it, conversing with it, accepting it as mine, whether I like it or not, but really truly accepting it, that calls my power back to me, which calls my energy back to me. And it gives me that freedom to keep choosing my power, my energy, my soul's calling for me right now in this moment. And that is really quite freeing, because it means you don't have to explain when others ask you to do something and you say no. As my husband is fond of saying, no is a complete sentence. Saying no can be a huge part of taking accountability. And by that I mean saying no to the external, saying yes in here. Don't worry about whether you're disappointing others. Worry about what's going on in here, and don't disappoint yourself. And I know that that is easier said than done. Wow, do I know it? But it is simple. And the more you actually practice saying no and practice just letting others be disappointed or however they're going to be, and just worrying, just focusing, not necessarily worrying, but just focusing on here, the easier it does get. The more quickly you move through that pang of, oh man, I should have said yes. I should have done something for them or with them. I shouldn't have said no. The quicker you move through that, the quicker you move through that shame and blame and into that power of accountability. And of course, the more accountability you take, the more power you call back, the more the fears that you're still holding on to, the stuff that you're still clinging to in the past is going to start showing up and give you the opportunity to stare at it, to really look at it and take accountability for where you gave that fear your power. In the example that I shared with you, I have definitely been giving the fear of relapse, the fear of becoming so weak, symptom ridden again that I have to use a cane to walk around again, and I can't do anything, including my work on my business. That fear has been pervasive in the last week or two, along with the fear of not being good enough. And, oh, maybe I need to go and get another certification, another training program to be able to do what I'm doing. Oh, I'm not ready to call that forth that my soul is telling me I'm ready to call forth. And when I face that, when I really hold it and look at it and accept that it is mine, I call the power back and it alchemizes. It starts to shift and change. It's very chemistry. And by the time I'm done with it, it's something completely unrecognizable from that fear or that pattern that it used to be. Now let's talk a little bit about hygiene, energy hygiene, a little bit as part of this accountability. A lot of what I've just shared with you is a big part of it. Noticing where you're still giving your power away to old just patterns, habits, fears, giving away to other people to make decisions for you, or, oh, I can't disappoint them. I have to say yes. You just gave your power away, but you're still accountable for it. All right. So you can choose to take it back and remember that you are really only accountable to your soul, to God, to you, not to anyone else. And that alone is a form of energy hygiene, working through that, seeing it, working through that alchemical process that I described. But you can do a bunch of other things like you can see behind me here I have some crystals, and I did used to work with them a bit more than I do now. Because one of the things that is super pervasive in the spiritual community is giving your power away to things like crystals or symbols, um, astrology, numerology, human design, and the list goes on. We start to give those objects or systems power over us by saying, oh, this is what's happening, and it's my 10th house in Chiron, or I don't know. I've heard some astrology things. I probably said something that was completely obnoxious and wrong. But we start to say things like, oh, I'm a Gemini. That's why. Oh, that girl. No, stop it. Stop it. Take accountability for your own damn self. It is not some zodiac sign's fault. All right. They does not have power to explain everything about you or what is happening to you. You are accountable for it. So if you are using any of those tools, they are merely tools. They are not something that you should be giving power to. So you can use it as a tool, but you're not going to expect the hammer to pick itself up and drive that nail into the piece of wood. You have to use the hammer for such. So if you're using it, like I've actually lately really been enjoying, it's been a long time since I bought anything. I don't even have a sage stick anymore. I'm drying sage to make my own, but I have a Palo Santo stick that was given to me quite a long time ago, and obviously it's getting almost nubby now, but I've really enjoyed using this lately to help call my power back. And I don't give this power, but what I use it for, how I use it is I will light it and I'll use the smoke as that smell. And I use that smell to help ground me into my body. It brings me back into my body. It reminds me where I am, who I am. It reminds me of that connection that I have and allows me to call back to myself anything and everything that I've given away. Um, I also, on occasion, especially after working with clients one-on-one, I keep this in my bathroom, and it's just a container full of pink Himalayan salt. And I'll put a little bit in my hands with some soap, and under some water, I'll rub it. And so it's a great exfoliant for your hands. But just doing that and as kind of a little, again, this connection, this sensual ritual that reconnects me to me, calls back my power. And you can say the words, you can do the things, but it's very much whatever reminds you of who you are, where you are, the body that you're in, that calls you back home and grounds you back into your body, into the earth, into this life, into this moment. So it's really a beautiful thing to practice doing daily, however you do it. And there will be days where you're going to be processing through some patterns or fears, and you're going to get to do it more often. But if you create a habit of every morning or every night before bed is a fantastic time of doing something that reminds you, that reconnects you, that helps you call that power back home to you, wherever you may have left it. That's a wonderful and beautiful practice to get into, but don't let it become just rote and meaningless, and you're going through the motions, but you're not really connecting. Okay? It needs to be very deeply somatic, connected. Because you can say the words, you can rub the salt, you can sage your Palo Santo yourself, or do bells or feather fans or whatever, crystals. You can do whatever little rituals you have. Say all the right words. But if you're not actually feeling it and energetically present with it, you're not doing shit. You're not actually involved in that energy hygiene. You're not actually taking accountability for where you may have bled out your power during the day and calling it back. So that's just kind of a basic introduction. Ooh, I forgot. I went out into my garden and I picked some tomatoes and cucumbers, and then I refused to wash my hands afterwards, because I just love that smell of the tomato vines on my hands. Another wonderful way to practice energy hygiene and to ground yourself. Sense can be deeply powerful. So that that smell of my garden on my hands that I still have. Actually, I have washed my hands since then, and I still smell it so deeply, and it's so beautiful. But anyway, find something that works for you. Let it change and evolve. Sometimes if you do the same thing and you say the same words and you create a ritual around it, again, it can become like automatic and rote, and you kind of check out. You're not actually present with it. So let it change. Let yourself have fun with it. Something that I do, and I'll make sure to link it in the video description, is I actually have a playlist that I call Call Back My Power, and I have maybe a half hour worth of songs on there now that I love for like just kind of getting me into my body. I dance to them. Like, they got some great beats to them. And a lot of them are specifically to call your power back. And so maybe that is something you want to do. Get musical with it. Get jiggy with it. Whatever you want to do. But it's time to take accountability. And I know that taking accountability can sometimes be scary. We are in a month of facing your fears. So it's time. Let's round out the month as we head very rapidly towards September and really start to take accountability for our own power, our own bodies, our own actions, our own mind, and what we're letting it do. Okay? I love you so very much. And if you're catching this video before the end of August, I want to let you know that a beautiful way to begin that somatic awareness journey, if you haven't yet and you're wondering, like, how do I get into the body? How do I feel the things? I don't know. I am like, she keeps talking about it, but what does that actually mean? My self-love masterclass, and I know the name needed some work, but it is what it is because it's been out there for a while now. But my self-love masterclass is available for enrollment through the end of the month. And it's a pre-recorded master class that you'll get access to for the lifetime of the course, um, through the end of the month, and it's just $15. So through the end of the month is when it's available for enrollment. It closes for enrollment at the end of the month. So if you're seeing this in September, you can check. I may have it open again in the future, but I'm not positive on that right now. But I also might do a live one here in the fall. We'll see. But I love you very much. I will link the Self-Love Masterclass below, as well as the link to my Spotify playlist. If you are interested, you are welcome to check it out and copy it to your own playlist library. So I'm much love to you all. See you next week.